Hey everyone, hope you're well. This is CoinsKid, just going on to Bitcoin. But the CoinsKid crew. So Bitcoin's come up and it's met the 103k level that was looking at on April the 7th, a day of the crash right there, literally the day at the bottom. I was looking at 103k. I did say to you, good news, CoinsKid crew. There is a God candle back test, so 103k for Bitcoin. In the future, it will be tagged. When is the big question, isn't it? The other good news is that it could come a lot sooner than people think. Stay tuned. So it has come. It's been a 5-wave move up into that level of resistance, and right now we are seeing a little bit of distribution at that level. But what we've got to be careful of right now, today, before we do jump into shorts, we do need to see something in the Bitcoin chart. So I'm going to show you exactly what that is. Now, going forward, I am bullish on Bitcoin. There is a clue in an indicator I create for yourselves that right now we're possibly going through some kind of correction as we push up into June. But in June, July, it should be extremely fruitful for Bitcoin if we're just respecting the data in this indicator that I create for yourselves. So let's take a look at the charts right now going forward for Bitcoin, okay? Quickly before I do dive into the Bitcoin chart, I just want to show you, I create this indicator for yourselves called the micro greed level. So we've got the macro greed level, which is your fear and greed, which a lot of people familiar with. This has been around for a very long time. So I created a custom micro greed level indicator for you that on the micro time frame it shows us when Bitcoin is fearful, or obviously there's a lot of FOMO and greed in the market. And over the past few weeks we have seen this pushing up into the red zone. I've been relaying to you that I do think a correction's coming in. Okay, so if you take a look right now, the micro is pulling back, isn't it? So I think there's an opportunity in the charts, but what do we need to see in the micro indicator here to entertain jumping into some longs for Bitcoin right now? So like I said to you, I don't necessarily think this is a time to short. I think we need to see a little bit more data in the chart. So this is something I'm looking at, but what is the data in the micro fear and greed indicator right now that I'm looking for to entertain the long again for Bitcoin? So let me show you exactly what that is, and all you got to do is come to the site, click on the link, and you can clearly see it loads this indicator. So I'll go through this with you and what we need to see for the next long opportunity on Bitcoin. Okay, so in late April we hit 93 on the index just down, the micro greed index. Look at that. So we hit 93, we came all the way back down. Okay, flip dark green. Like I said to you on this index, if you start to see it dark green on the micro, it's a buying opportunity, especially if you've got a combo match basically. And I'm going to code more into this particular indicator as buy and sell signals going forward, so stay tuned for that update. But what we've got is a combo. Whenever you start to see it dark green, look at that, dark green on the macro and the micro, buying up. Really simple. Dark green on the micro and the macro, buying up. I know it didn't break out into space, but it was 76k at the time, came all the way up, flip red, look at that, take your profit, 76k into 86k is a nice little bit of money, and then boom, it's dropped again. So it doesn't guarantee when it flips dark green that it is the bottom, but it's always a buying opportunity against the blood fear and depression. And this is why I created it, because it helps us ride the waves in this market, in this crazy wave. So what we've got right now is we've came up, we've made this high here, we've got flipped to 93 on the micro, we've came up, made a high for Bitcoin, flipped 88 on the micro, and Bitcoin is possibly going for some kind of expanded flat correction at the moment, and it's pulling back. So what we should be looking for is for the micro to flip dark green like it did there in I think early May, look at that, and equally dark green like it did there in early April. So we could be looking at flipping dark green in perhaps say early June. So if we start to see this month on month, we're seeing buying opportunities for Bitcoin. Okay, so early April was a buying opportunity, early May was a buying opportunity, and we may just be in for another buying opportunity come early June. So we may be going through this sort of sideways boring correction where we have this flash crash, pullback, a lot of fear in the market, just like there was in early May and just like there was in early April, and then boom, it's continuation to the upside. So it's really simple. At the moment you've got a bearish divergence, you've got a high there, a higher high, but you've got lower highs in the index, and right now you are going sideways to down at the moment. Okay, so we've got to be patient for today's close on the daily. What is the thing that we need to see on the daily time frame today to increase probability? Okay, at this point you could be looking at a short opportunity, you hold on to that short until you flip dark green on the micro, okay, which is why you jump into a long again and you're just riding the waves. Let me dive into the charts right now to see what we can see. Okay, so looking at Bitcoin on the daily time frame, there may be a clue that we are about to go through something like this for Bitcoin over the next few weeks as we do lead in towards the end of the month, early June, and then we see a monumental move and a beautiful breakout for Bitcoin in the month of June and July, and we continue to trend upwards basically before we print the characteristics of the cycle top. So for those people that have been in the channel for a very long time, they will know that every 4 years Bitcoin prints a cycle top, and there are characteristics of that within the charts themselves, and I've relayed this to you, and I'm going to make a list, a checklist of all the things I'm looking for to jump up and down and tell you that the top's in. One of them obviously is the CKR indicator that I create for the CoinsKid crew, and many other indicators. Okay, so basically what we look for is characteristics of the top, and we've seen it in the last cycle tops. We've seen characteristics of the top, and it really is simple. All you got to do is go to the charts, go to the plus symbol, and drop in the total 2 chart. Okay, so what you do, you drop it in, Right now I've got mine, I've recolored it for you, I've made it yellow. So what we're looking at is the characteristics of the top which we've not seen so far. So for anyone that's been paying attention to this channel, you know, we nailed this bottom for Bitcoin way back here in November. Okay, so we nailed this bottom beautifully, and like I said to you at the time, I expect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up to all-time highs, and we've done exactly that. So right here, okay, I was looking for a final 5th wave up, but like I said to you, I think we've had a 1 into a 2 into a 3 into a 4, and right now you're in the final 5th wave territory. Okay, so obviously to increase probability that my count is right, we have to see Bitcoin break out here, take out the all-time highs. At that point, I think you're nearing the cycle top, right on cue. Every 4 years, 2017 cycle top, 2021 cycle top, 2025 cycle top with 5 waves to the upside, where you've got a macro 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now you're still in the 5th wave coming up, and that's been my primary for a very long time. And this is why at this point I did say to you, I don't necessarily think this is the beginning of a bear market. I think it's a correction within the final 5th wave, where possibly 1, 2, 3, pull back 4. This is your final 5th wave coming up. So within this we've got to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is it. If you start to see something like that with something else, that's your characteristics of the top. And this is something I've been relaying to you for a very long time. For anyone paying attention, you know, I don't necessarily think that that was the top for Bitcoin, okay, and it's because of the confluence of another chart that we look at to give us a guide and a clue to the characteristics of the top, which we've seen in every single cycle, and we've not seen it here. It's really simple. It's total 2 breaking out, which is basically your altcoins, which is your alt season. It's a waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance, and it's the total 2 moving higher when Bitcoin's in its retracement. We saw it just there in April and May of 2021, sorry. You've got Bitcoin making that all-time high at 64k, then it dropped down, and in the retracement where it made a lower high, total 2, which is your altcoins, basically your crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin, it was taken off in space. This is where in May there were some beautiful moves in altcoins, the likes of, you know, Cardano, VeChain, so on and so forth. They were coming up and doing incredibly well, okay, because that was the characteristics of the top, where we have this alt season. If we move to the left, we saw it as well in 2017, late 2017, just there, Bitcoin was coming up, making its high, then in its drop to the ribbon, it made the lower high, and then obviously we've got total 2 breaking out, and we've not seen it. This is why, obviously I could be wrong, but we've not seen the characteristics of the top in this cycle, which obviously comes around every 4 years. So we're right on cue for it, but right now what we've got to see is this breakout, pull back to support, breakout in 5 waves. So technically we're looking at something like this: so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up for Bitcoin, and then if this yellow line, which is your total 2 chart, starts to print a higher high on Bitcoin's drop and retracement, and we start to see this yellow line taking off into space, making high highs, there's your characteristics of the top. Really, really simple, which we've seen every 4 years so far, and we've not necessarily seen it in this move to the upside so far. So this is something I'm being patient for. It's one of the key things I'm looking at, the, you know, the characteristics of the top. So obviously I could be completely wrong, and we may not repeat previous cycles, but there may be another clue in another indicator create for yourselves called the crystal ball, that we are about to see exactly this over the next few months once we get this pullback and correction out of the way for Bitcoin. So let me show you the crystal ball indicator right now that's showing a correction and then a breakout in June and July, where, you know, Bitcoin enters price discovery, where we should be looking for that characteristics of the top between total 2 and the Bitcoin price action. Let me show the crystal ball right now, okay? So looking at Bitcoin with the crystal ball indicator right now, it does show some kind of pullback, doesn't it? If you take a look here, we've got this block. So the orange line is your crystal ball, and this is based on M2 global money supply. It does show that as we approach towards the end of May, into June, it does show some kind of ABC within liquidity and within itself, where liquidity gets withdrawn from the market before obviously returning back to the upside. So we could be looking at that over the next few weeks leading to June. We've got some kind of ABC that comes into the market just there for Bitcoin, back into the ribbon to confirm the buy signal, which would be absolutely amazing. But the one thing that's got me bullish, obviously, and I'm not got a, you know, crystal ball, I can't see into the future, although obviously at the minute this is playing out like a boss, where liquidity left the market in December, double bottom breakout. Liquidity left the market for Bitcoin in December, double bottom breakout. So we're looking at that. So if it's anything to go by, and if we're just tracking it, and again, data not emotion, we should be looking at some kind of pullback as we head into June, bottom out early June, and then boom, we begin, you know, continue to show right there. Where at this point, if Bitcoin does continue to show after any kind of pullback holding support, then we should be looking at the characteristics at the top of, you know, the cycle, which is what we've not printed just yet. So there's a little bit of data that suggests, and again, there's no bias on the channel, that, you know, we're missing this leg to the upside for Bitcoin, this final sort of push to the upside, where it pushes up into that 120 to 150k level. And like I said to you, at this point, I don't think Bitcoin's an amazing opportunity, you know, because we've done so well on it at this point. I actually think the altcoins are the opportunity, and this is what I've been relaying to you for a very long time. At this point in the cycle, this is where you will start to see the verticals and altcoins playing catch up right towards the end of the cycle, where, you know, we print the characteristics at the top. So if it's a case to go by and we just rely on the data, then, you know, the crystal ball indicator, which is based on M2 global money supply, shows leaving the market, re-entering the market, and right now we've got Bitcoin pushing up to the resistance of the all-time highs against all odds and expectations after a beautiful ABC correction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We nailed that buyback. April the 7th, I tweeted out to you, I expect Bitcoin to run into this leg of resistance, which is pretty much where it's finding that resistance right now. But in the future, you know, we may have a crystal ball showing us that, you know, we're about to pull back and then break out to the upside in June and July, where this is still trending up in the future. So in the future, what I'm looking for, obviously, if we can start to see something like that in the crystal ball again, at some point, this is where we sell, you know, jump ship. And then obviously we're looking for the characteristics at the top where Bitcoin comes back, makes a lower high, and total 2 breaks out to the upside. So at the moment, there may be a little bit of confidence over the next few weeks as we head into June. There may be a bit of a correction in the markets because the crystal ball is showing some kind of pullback in liquidity before continuation to June and July right there. But in the future, we're looking for this sharp pullback, just like we've got there, which is increased probability at that time frame. Okay, let's jump ship. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. If you want to get that indicator into your charts, just go to CoinsKid.com and follow the process. Hope you enjoyed that update. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay tuned. Take care, one. Back to another update on Bitcoin. Bye bye.